This is the Yanks Go Yard podcast with Adam Weinrib and Thomas Carannante.
Welcome to the Yanks Go Yard podcast. I'm Adam Weinrib alongside Thomas Carannante. The Yankees are, in fact, still in the tournament, eligible to win the World Series this year. The postseason's been going on for a couple of days now. They don't play till Saturday, but don't forget about them. They're working out. Trent Grisham is walking around the infield carrying a first baseman. Aaron Judge is throwing off the mound. They're watching their enemies drop like flies around them. It's honestly been a good time. Welcome to the show, live every Monday and Thursday, 2 o'clock Eastern, coming at you with what we know about the Yankees playoff roster to date. They dropped some hints. Just got another quote in saying they're unsure whether they'll take 11 or 12 pitchers. That's good to know. So not going to be 13. Final decision rests with Aaron Boone, says Brian Cashman. Probably said that in case it goes poorly. He can say that that was Aaron Boone's call. But we know a couple of things about how that roster might shake out. Plus, regretting the Juan Soto trade based on what's going on in San Diego? I would say no. Regretting a different trade that put a talented rookie on the American League's hottest team? Probably. It's the Kansas City Royals next round, which means it's not the Baltimore Orioles. We'll talk about their untimely or completely timely death and throw dirt on the grave of the Houston Astros, because the Yankees might advance out of the ALDS. They might not. But the one thing that we absolutely know for certain, Houston Astros ain't moving on. Baltimore Orioles ain't moving on. They are donezo. So if you can't laugh at that, a thing that you know to be a fact, then what can you laugh at? Rest in peace to them. The Yankees losing the DS and Astros fans want to come back and be like, oh, how does it feel? I don't know. It feels bad, but you could do it. I did it. Everyone could do it. You're gone. I don't care what you have to say. Join me on the couch. I'd rather hear from Royals fans, but if you want to talk to me, you can. Join me on the couch. Or don't join me on the couch, because hopefully our team will still be playing. It would be nice. They have a chance. Yankees versus AL Central versus AL Central versus AL Central. Here to break it down with me is Thomas Carannante. Thomas, welcome to the podcast.
Pretty good podcast. Pretty good podcast day. They lined it up nicely for us, didn't they? Astros gone, Orioles gone, Yankees resting, apparently having some fun. We're waiting some postseason decisions, like Adam said. I don't think it's going to be anything drastic. I think we kind of know. Aaron Boone alluded on the Talking Yanks podcast yesterday that probably not going to be anything drastic. And they don't necessarily have anything up their sleeves that they're hiding.
Yeah, we don't, we're not doing a lot of tricks and nasty mix-em-ups. And, we're close to that finish line. And, well, actually did that the other day. He was talking, and I just instinctively went, ugh. And my wife was like, he does do that, doesn't he? I was like, yeah, no, he sure does. He's someone who does not pay attention notices.
Or he just says, he says obviously when you're asking like a question that you need a genuine answer for. So what are we thinking in terms of drastic postseason? Well, obviously. No, not obviously. Nobody knows. Everybody's asking. Everybody's wondering. If it was obvious, wouldn't have to ask. But anyway, Aaron Boone suggests there will be no Davy Garcia, J. Happ nonsense this year. He said nothing up their sleeves. Mm-hmm. So we'll take that. We have Garrett Cole game 1, Carlos Rodón game 2. That is confirmed. There is a switcheroony situation if they're going to go with Luis Gil or Clark Schmidt in game 3. Mm-hmm. We talked about this being a good idea because if you looked at everybody's stats in terms of splits, Garrett Cole way better at home, Carlos Rodón way better at home, Nestor Cortez way better at home, but he's not with us. At least for the DS, we're projecting probably for the entire postseason. Then you have Luis Gil, Clark Schmidt, and Marcus Stroman, who are either starters or bulk guys, depending on what the Yankees opt to do. And they are all better on the road, and it ain't even close. It is close with Luis Gil. His stats are literally identical. Mm-hmm. But for Schmidt and Stroman, it is night and day. So if the Yankees need any help with the pitching, talk about starters, talk about long relief, those are your guys. I think this lines up nicely for them. That said, it's the Royals coming to town. Let's get into this. Royals defeat the Orioles in the wild card series. Quick 2-game sweep. We talked a lot of shit on the Orioles.
We did.
A lot of shit. And usually in those situations, we're bracing for the worst to come. It's all going to come back around, isn't it? Every time we talk shit on the Astros, bites us. Every time we talk shit on the Red Sox, bites us. But the Orioles, we were right about the Orioles, it seems. Won 101 games last year, won the division. A lot of offseason hype despite nothing. They traded for Corbin Burns. They signed Craig Kimbrell, and they did nothing else. We had to listen to Jeff Passan a week before opening day tell Yankees fans that they wish they were the Orioles, which couldn't have been more I love Jeff Passan, but such a short-sighted comment. The Orioles tanked and were irrelevant for 4 to 5 years. That's the team I want to be.
And then now, though, what are they, to be fair?
Exactly. What are they?
Extremely irrelevant and painful.
They pulled the Yankees. They said, oh, everybody did well last year. They should do even better this year. Why make additions? Corbin Burns was a great trade. Don't get me wrong. We were kicking ourselves when we didn't make that deal. We knew that would play a big role in tipping the scales in the AL East. Turns out the Orioles just didn't have enough offensive firepower for the last couple months of the season. They were largely in the Yankees boat, a 500 team since the start of June, relying on that young core. And again, young cores are great. Young cores, in my opinion, I think in most people's opinion, are essential to a World Series contending roster. Are they the main ingredient, however? No. The main ingredient is star power, is battle-tested veterans. The Orioles had zero mix of that. They scored 1 run in these 2 games against the Royals pitching. What was it, 1-0 and then 2-1 or 3-1?
Oh, yeah. No, the old
really
1-0, 2-1, going out sad. What happened to the offense? Nobody knows. Adley Rutschman was terrible for 4 months, and then today, Today they said Adley Rutschman was injured the whole time. Oh, you think? And even if he wasn't, you gotta say it because otherwise he just stinks. The cavalry's coming for the Orioles. Don't worry about it. Jackson Holliday is going to make this lineup a cheat code. Does he have a bat? Does he bring a bat to the plate when he hits? Is he the worst number 1 pick of all time? This will come back to bite us, I'm sure, but we're talking about we drafted a 260 hitter, light hitting middle infielder with no pop. That's what we got on the Baltimore Orioles with the first overall pick. Looks like a child. Kobe Mayo, couldn't find room for him. Connor Norby crushed it at AA, AAA all year long. And then you traded him to Miami instead of using him.
For another AAA pitcher?
Traded him for Trevor Rogers, who didn't make the ALDS roster. Also traded, or didn't know he made the ALDS roster because you fucking lost in the wild card round. Eloy Jimenez, you got, that was your big, talent infusion. He had a 76 OPS plus for Baltimore down the stretch. Didn't make the wild card roster either. If we were a Baltimore Orioles podcast, and thank God we're not, we would be sitting here doing our classic shtick. Oh my God, what happened year over year to this offense? Everybody who did good thing last year did bad thing this year, especially down the stretch. It's cosmic. Like, we would be having that conversation. But in this instance, it's like kind of fairly obvious. It's like you have this great emerging young core. Last year, they play over their skis, win 101 games, get to the playoffs, and get punked by a team with a smarter manager, Bruce Bochy, more experienced, by a team with championship medal all over the roster, better pitching. Yeah. Now, this year, the Orioles lose a good chunk of their pitching. Kyle Bradish, John Means, Grayson Rodriguez. That hurts a lot. But you know what you have to do when you get dealt that hand? Replace that pitching with other talented pitching. The Baltimore Orioles sat there, wallowed, got Zach Eflin. That's a start. And instead of going high ups, Dylan Cease was there for the taking. You have the best farm system in baseball. You could go ahead and get him. Connor Norby might have been a good fit in a Dylan Cease trade.
Probably would have worked.
Instead of in a trade for, I don't know, one of the worst pitchers in baseball who couldn't crack a big league roster by the end of the year. And then let's say, you're lacking that pitching depth, you're lacking that veteran leadership, and you get to the midway point of the season. And what does any team react well to? An infusion of talent at the deadline, high-profile talent. Even if the high-profile talent doesn't necessarily play to their standards, it's still this endorsement of the roster as is. How many times in recent years have we watched the Boston Red Sox overperform in the first half? Then the team is like, please get us guys. We're begging you to go get us guys. Devers is like, I think we've earned that opportunity. The whole roster is like, please bring in some more talent. And the Red Sox are like, we hear you loud and clear. Here's Lucas Sims. And then they go on a 10-game losing streak out of the break. The Orioles were begging to be reinforced. This is why you build a farm system. And instead, they got all these spare parts. They got the guy who was tearing the White Sox locker room apart. The White Sox locker room, they go, we'll take that guy out of your hands. It's what the Dodgers did last year. There was a great ESPN piece end of last week, about how there was toxicity in the White Sox clubhouse, and Joe Kelly and Lance Lynn hated Liam Hendricks and wouldn't come to his press conference announcing his cancer treatments. Jesus. And the Dodgers went in and got those guys. Oh, we'll take those guys. You got swept in the DS. You got pasted. And Lance Lynn's the guy on the mound in game 3 to end your season. The Orioles did that again. The White Sox couldn't wait to get rid of Eloy Jimenez. And the Orioles are like, we'll take this bounce back candidate. And then he got worse and was completely ineffective and not carried on the postseason roster. From that point forward, the Orioles were a 500 team. The Yankees were a 500 team along with them for several months. Yankees picked it up in September. Orioles did not. And Orioles fans will be sitting here till the cows come home saying, yeah, we would have beat you if we'd matched up in the DS, though. Jason Lockenfora or whatever last week on Twitter being like, I wouldn't want these bum-ass Yankees are making the playoffs. Are you kidding me? Do you consider the wild card round of the playoffs? I didn't see you in the playoffs either. Where were you? Baltimore. And one final side swipe. The funniest people to me online are the ones who act like you wouldn't be laughing hysterically at the Yankees if one day they just picked up and decided, let's change our stadium.
Yeah, of course.
You know, we should move the wall back 100 feet. That's good and normal. Orioles fans are like, we were playing to our advantage. You take every trick in the book and you use it, and it disadvantages us too. It's like, no. If the Yankees had just randomly built a chunk on their stadium to make it harder to play there, you would be laughing at us. That's all. I understand why it was done. I don't know why you don't understand why it deserves scorn. And I hope you enjoyed Jordan Westberg getting Camden walled in game 1. He hit a long fly ball to left field, but not long enough because there's a big hole in the outfield now because you guys decided to reduce your opponent's ability to homer as well as yours. But you built around pitching and you lost 1-0 and 2-1. So we'll see you later. I'm sure Jackson Holliday will have a better year next year, but I was shocked at how little impact he had after coming up this year. Just a complete non-entity who didn't appear in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like didn't start.
It's hard.
One part of it.
It's hard. It's not easy for young players. We went through that with Volpe last year. I know
but if they're gonna laugh at Volpe, though, like
of course.
What's up with Jackson?
I'll laugh at them. Yeah, I mean, look, the stadium dimensions thing, and they'll bitch about the short porch until the end of time, even though the short porch has existed for 100 years. Orioles, though, I mean, I don't want to speak too soon because the front office and the ownership group could do a 180 this offseason, but not upgrading in kind of a manner with intention to look towards the future with other veteran pieces. Like, again, Corbin Burns, great acquisition, but he's gone after this year. You knew that the second you acquired him. Yeah. So you weren't establishing some sort of a core within the core. You were randomly supplementing him with 1-year veterans that didn't provide enough depth in the end. Like, again, Corbin Burns was a great start. That was not fully ensuring the Orioles against injuries. It was not fully ensuring the Orioles against regression. And those are things that kill teams every year. Look at the Dodgers. I mean, the Dodgers make acquisition after acquisition after acquisition. And in my opinion, and I think in a lot of other people's opinions, they're probably in a little bit of trouble right now facing the Padres in the NLDS. They lost to the Padres in the DS in 2022 with having pitching issues and injuries, and I don't see that really changing this time around. The Padres are one of the hottest teams in the league, and they built their core sufficiently. They have a young core. They have a lot of high-paid players. They have a lot of veterans who have been there. They have a manager who clearly motivates them and puts guys in the right position to succeed. So that's the perfect concoction of how this needs to go. And the Orioles, I think, left the window open for the Yankees for a long time. Whether the Yankees suffer a setback this offseason, if Juan Soto were to leave, doesn't matter. The Yankees still might be better. They might be better.
Well, the Orioles have a manager named after what they do in the playoffs every year. Hyde.
We're hiding Brandon Hyde. Yeah, I mean, talk about hard-ass Brandon Hyde and then nowhere to be found. Just going down pathetically these last 2 years. So, yeah, I mean, look, we predicted it. I predicted it. I got all the links for you guys in case you want to email me. I'll email you a bunch of links.
They do want to email you. Based on the way they email me, they want to email you.
Yeah. Hey, you asshole. Yeah. What do you have to say about this? Well, I actually have
kindest regards, comma.
Yeah. Because we were, why was that our take? Because we were worried about the Orioles. We sat here last year and we're like, holy fuck. This team just won 101 games. They breezed through the AL East. Like, sure, they lost in the first round of the playoffs. Like, a team that young is not going to make that big of an impact the first year in the postseason. They haven't had a playoff series there in 10 years. Okay, next year, like, they regroup. They get some more talent on there. They plan for 2024 and beyond. This is going to be bad for the Yankees. Turns out they left the door open. Now the Yankees have gone farther in the playoffs without having to do anything. And the Orioles are sitting at home, and it's going to be a long offseason of reflection for them because they traded a lot of assets away. It's kind of crazy. Like, you thought that, oh, this team will be fully because I mean, all these Orioles fans, all it is prospect. You can't talk to them about prospects. They got Gunnar Henderson and Jackson Holliday. What do you know about prospects? Mm-hmm. You don't know shit about prospects. But now they traded away a decent amount of their farm. I still think they have plenty of ammo, but you know, you trade for Corbin Burns. They overpaid for Trevor Rogers. They gave up a decent amount for Zach Eflin. People were questioning why they traded for Eloy Jimenez and inherited that salary. So they might have to do a lot of unnecessary maneuvering this offseason with a little bit less to work with. So either way, rest in piss. On to the next death before we get into Yankees business. Astros dead. I don't even think they didn't get murdered. They passed away.
They got murdered. They got murdered. Josh Hader made sure they got murdered. And the comments, by the way, say it all because we got somebody in the commenters. We got some joker being like, you guys really think the Astros dynasty is over? Wait till next year when they get a first baseman who can hit and a center fielder who can hit and a legit ace. Okay, yeah. If they sign 3 superstars, then yeah, I'll reevaluate. Yeah. But as of now, they don't have 3 additional all-stars. And even if they do get those guys, the Astros aren't gone forever. They'll keep competing, but the dynasty is over. They lost in the CS last year, didn't win a single home game in the CS against the Texas Rangers. And then this year, the dynasty was 7 straight CSs. This year, they didn't make it out of the fake round of playoffs Rob Manfred invented for sport. So, yeah, that is over. And now they try to start again, but that is over.
Yeah. Bad performance by them. Not scoring runs, pitching choking. I know it was an upstart. Look, I said it last week. You agreed. Tigers are the most dangerous team to face in this postseason.
For sure.
They just are. It's a
Royals
scary team.
Royals
number two. Scary team that is hot. And I think there is validity to, like, they don't know how pressure packed this is. They're too young to know. Mm-hmm. You know, and they're not stupid, but it's like the phrase where it's like you're too stupid to understand the circumstances here. They have no grasp of the circumstance. They're playing with nothing to lose. There's no pressure. They're riding this 31-11 hot streak to end the regular season. They have the best pitcher in baseball. Not the team you want to face in the first round.
And they're young like the Orioles, but the Orioles are managed by Brandon Hyde and the Tigers are managed by AJ Hinch. Like, I think it's almost that simple.
Yeah, it absolutely is because you look at both teams' pitching situations, and what would you say? Probably very similar. One really good pitcher, a lot of decent options beyond that, solid, unspectacular bullpens, but one guy pressed the right buttons. And I mean, look, the Orioles pitching did show up for the wild card, so we can't crap on them for that. But the second half, their bullpen was really bad. They let a lot of games get away from them in that respect. But Yeah, Astros pass away. That bases clearing double from Andy Ibanez was one of the most satisfying highlights for Yankees fans. In 3 years?
Mm-hmm.
Probably. It had to have been. But, I mean, I don't want to face the Tigers. They're fun to watch. They're a good time. If there was any team aside from us to do it, it was this scenario. That was deeply satisfying to watch. Tigers played great defense. They came up and hit in really good situations, put bat on ball, move guys over, got clutch hits, and it was so much of just like what hasn't happened to the Astros over the last 7 years for the most part. Like, how many teams fucking kicked their ass like that? Like, just showed up and was like, nope, we're the better team.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna shut you down, and we're gonna get to the back end of your bullpen if we don't get to your starter. So it's been a lot of cakewalks for the Astros in the postseason to just, limp to the ALCS for the most part. They just got to the ALCS every year. This year, quite different. Really good to watch, like, this weird version of them go away because they clearly weren't at their peak powers. Alex Bregman might be gone now. Josh Hader's turning out to be largely a disaster signing for them just because, look, he's still good, but we've learned the hard way paying top dollar for closers. Mets learned the hard way. We warned Mets fans when they made that signing too. You don't do this. It's not a good allocation of funds. Nobody listens. Nobody listens to us. Why?
Nobody listens
everything.
to us.
We've been through it. But, yeah, I think any other postmortems for the Astros, we can spend ripping them more another day because there's going to be a lot of offseason action there. But you have to say now, which Adam wrote about yesterday, there's no excuse for the Yankees to get through the AL now. Absolutely no excuse.
Yeah.
Astros are gone. Orioles, who got the better of them in the regular season, and the Yankees, who typically choke against AL East opponents, are gone. It's the AL Central, who the Yankees typically dominate. I am not writing off any of these opponents. I think they're all really good. I'm actually scared of the Royals and Tigers, less so scared about the Guardians.
Yeah.
Again, if I had to pick and choose, this would be the playoff field for me. Still not a guarantee, but Yankees got to take care of business, man. They got to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote it, then Joel Sherman wrote it, and Ken Rosenthal wrote it. And you know what? You know why that happened? Because everybody feels it. Everybody knows that this is the best draw the Yankees could have gotten. Not only are they playing 3 teams from a division that they usually handle in the postseason, except for the Tigers, who I'll remind everyone that they've never beaten in a postseason series. Same as the Astros, not in franchise history, not in 2006, not in 2011, not in 2012. Does that have a lot of bearing on the current matchup? I would say that it does not, but it's just worth noting out loud. Other than the Tigers, the Yankees do well against the Royals, the Twins, and the Guardians in the postseason. So it didn't take, I'm not going to put a feather in my cap and be like, I noticed that it's the AL Central, but no evil teams. So you're really going into these series. I mean, the only pressure is the pressure that the Yankees are placing on themselves, that the New York media is placing on the Yankees to advance to the World Series at the very least, because there's no Astros, there's no AL East rival, there's no boogeyman. It's the Royals, who you just took 2 out of 3 from, and you saw their top starting pitchers, and Seth Lugo bedeviled you, but you beat Brady Singer and you won the Cole Reagans game. So you just saw them. You actually got a pretty intense walk-off against them. That was a good home series. That was less than a month ago. So do the Royals scare me? Sure. Could the Yankees lose to the Royals, Tigers, or Guardians, or whoever they would face in a hypothetical World Series? Absolutely. The take that the path is clear is not the take that, it's over, print the World Series tickets. No one is waving the banner saying it's done. They're just saying, all right, the last couple years, the Judge era, maybe some people let the Yankees skate because sure, they didn't win the World Series. Sure, they didn't win the American League. But in 2017, they were young and they were ahead of schedule. 2018, they lost to a 108-win team. 2019, they lost to the Astros, who were proven better than them at that point. You were going to the ALCS, hoping to upset them, and you didn't. And you lost some bodies and Giancarlo Stanton, and you just weren't able to get it done. And, oh well, they have Garrett Cole and Justin Verlander. Would have been fun, but no, we weren't the better team. 2020, the Rays had the best record in the American League. if not baseball. I don't remember what the Dodgers record was that year, but the Rays were the class of the AL and a weird.
They had the best record in the league, the Dodgers. They were 43 and like 17 or something.
Yeah, but a weirdo 60-game season, you lose a road series in San Diego to the Rays. I don't think anybody's like, that's a catastrophic failure by the Yankees. People made fun of them for the Davy Garcia Happ thing, but I don't even know what you're supposed to draw from that. 2021, you go down in the wild card game, but that season sucked. That team was just bad.
Sucky shit season.
2022 Astros, again, they get you. And so every time you enter a series against the Astros, you're like, I hope we do it, but it's the Astros. I hope we get it done, but it's the Astros. Last year, I didn't even make the playoffs because you suck. This year, you're favored to win any of these series, all of them. There's no one in front of you that you can say, well, look at the scoreboard. I mean, we don't have a chance against those guys. We just have to buckle up and do our best and, shake hands and, maybe we got a secret weapon. Hey, maybe we got somebody watching over us. No, you're better than all of these teams. Yeah. So could they lose to any of these teams? Absolutely. But if they do, you thought the lines of questioning were harsh last offseason? We're pretty fucking good Brian Cashman explosion. It's going to get really loud.
Still be bad.
If they come up short. The postseason's unpredictable. Everybody knows it. But that's the only excuse, is just the generic, like, well, it's hard excuse. Because you have the best record in the league. You are the best team remaining in the AL field. All of these teams have warts. The Royals scored 3 runs in the wild card series. They don't hit. If it's not Bobby Witt Jr. and Salvador Perez, they don't hit. The Guardians' rotation is nonsensical. The bullpen's incredible, but overused. The rotation barely exists, and the Yankees had a 4-2 record against the Guardians this year. The Tigers shouldn't even be here. It's amazing that they are, but again, no one, like, could you imagine the columns of the Yankees lose the ALCS to the Tigers that are like, what are you going to do? You lost to a better team. No, they had a 0.2% chance of making the playoffs in August.
Yeah.
You did not lose to a better team. You might have gotten run over by a hotter team, but you could lose to any of these clubs. The excuses are null and void. There's no boogeyman. There's no Red Sox. There's no rival. It's just teams that you're better than. And so if you lose, which could happen, you're going to get roasted and rocked, and you're going to deserve it. That's all anybody's saying. If the Yankees lose this series to the Royals, you're going to hear some trenchant analysis, and then you're also going to hear us questioning leadership significantly. And that's what you're going to get every step along the way. If you watch back to some of the podcasts we did when they got swept by the Astros in 2022, it's mostly just like,
bad.
Yeah, they put some guys on base, down a couple of runs.
What are you going to do?
They didn't score. I mean, that's what happens. Remember when Aaron Judge almost homered to right, but the roof was closed and then it didn't go? That sucked. Like, it was just downtrodden podcast of like, yeah, it's another Astros series. Here we go. They showed the Yankees, the Red Sox 0-4 highlights. Great. If they lose any of these series, you're going to hear some like come to Jesus moments of like, this is going to have to change now. You're going to have to pay Juan Soto. You're also going to have to raise that payroll to like $400 million. We're at the ultimate apex too of, the Yankees have the highest payroll. They should win, shouldn't they? But then as soon as the Yankees lose a playoff series, it's like, I told you money doesn't buy championships. So what is it? How about we just win a championship so we don't have to hear from those people ever again?
That'd be cool. I don't know. And look, I've been optimistic about this team's chances because of the weakened AL and not because of themselves. I think the Yankees still have plenty of flaws that will hold them back in some respect. I don't know if that culminates in a playoff elimination or a World Series loss or whatever, but you balance the two scenarios, and I don't know what the Yankees need to play their game. And I know that sounds dumb, but it's like, if you look at, the Astros are gone, so the path is clear. It's the wrong mentality, but also is the pressure more or less with the Astros gone? Because if the Astros are in the playoffs and they're weakened, then the Yankees in their minds, because in their minds, they'd have a baked-in excuse. Well, the Astros again. I don't know. We can't beat them. They're playoff stalwarts. They have a ton of veteran. Like, those stats yesterday, I had no idea that Jose Altuve and Alex Bregman were like one of the best postseason duos in history. Mm-hmm. It is actually unbelievable. They rank first for home runs in however amount of playoff games they've been in since 2017 or 2016 or whatever it was. And they're like top 3 in a couple of like RBIs and batting average or OPS or something. It's wild, but they would have at least had that in their back pocket. Now, then there was the always existing pressure of like, oh, the Astros are there, like we could run into them. And you know that the Yankees don't necessarily respond to that type of pressure, right? They're usually like, oh, looks like we're going to lie down. This sucks. See ya. Now, the other side of the coin is the Yankees play down to their competition. So they have a bunch of competition in theory right now that they are better than. So they match up. They could, like Joel Sherman said, out-talent the opponents here. They have better talent and better rosters than both of these teams. It's indisputable. There's no way you can look at all these rosters side by side and say, hey, I think the Yankees are actually second or third here. No, the Yankees are clearly more talented than all these teams left. Problem with the Yankees is that they play down to their competition and they also beat up teams that are really good, which they've showed us throughout the regular season. So it is a weird mix. It's a new gear that they're going to have to find. Am I confident in it? I don't know. In hindsight, I do like the extra rest for this team to regroup. I don't think they were playing well enough to warrant, hop into the wild card series. Let's fucking do this. No. Finish the season not exactly strong. I think 3 games over 500 since the start of June, something like that. So really not anything carrying them in terms of momentum. So it's just all going to be about making the right decisions and pressing the right buttons. And it's the players stepping up in the right situations, and it's Aaron Boone making the right calls. And that's what's going to get them through this. And it's not making mistakes on the base paths, and it's making the routine defensive plays. And I know I sound like a fucking moron right now, but I watched 140 Yankees games this year. The only things that have held them back was the lack of coming through in big moments, leaving the door open for the opponent, and making dumb mistakes. And now you have a playoff field that you are better than on paper, that you paid for more talent for because of your financial might over all of them. Much larger. The Tigers have the smallest payroll. There were, as of yesterday, before every team was before the 3 other teams were eliminated, there were 16 players in the playoff field that alone made more than the Tigers' active payroll of $25 million. So the Yankees are dwarfing that in many ways. Guardians payroll, absolute joke. I think the Royals probably have the next highest payroll, and that's only because they paid Bobby Witt Jr. and Salvador Perez. So
yeah, everybody's chilling around 100 mil, and it's because the Tigers paid like Javi Baez and Kenta Maeda, all these guys who don't play.
So the analysis here, honestly, I think is just really through what we think about the postseason decisions in terms of the roster and the lineup formation. But what the Yankees need to do, I don't know if you guys are looking for a more intricate conversation. I don't know if it's here. That's all I'm telling you. They have to come through in the moments that dictate that. Aaron Boone can't be messing around and making dumb decisions, and they need their starting pitchers to show up and not fall into an early hole against, again, inferior offenses. You're all inferior offenses, but statistically, we can look at all the numbers right now. Actually, I'll pull that up while you say some stuff. All right.
Yeah. Hey, these are pitching and defense clubs. These are pitching and defense clubs. Look, we know what the Yankees do against mid-tier pitching. We've all seen it before. If you've watched the Yankees past several years, they get routinely owned by Michael Wacha, who is starting game 1 of the division series. Aaron Judge 1 for 18 career against Wacha with 11 strikeouts. I mean, that's something that has to change. This is a huge postseason for Judge. Really give me a hit against Wacha in game 1. It said Lugo could have gone game 2 on full rest because of the way that the DS is stretched out. They decided not to do that. So we've got Wacha 1.
Is he better at home or something? Is that why?
I mean, what? Probably. But Lugo in game 3, back home in Kansas City. I mean, again, the Kansas City Royals are comments being like,
he's worse at home.
No one's giving these guys a chance. We're absolutely giving these guys a chance. The national media is giving these guys a chance too. They're just saying the Yankees are going to get their feet held to the fire if they can't handle business this year. That's all we're saying too. They're going to get, maybe they're going to get what's been coming to them for the entire Aaron Judge era. But the fact is, Judge and his Yankees teams have never lost a series to the AL Central, and they've never won a series against the AL East. Ever. It's not saying they won one against the AL West. They won the one-game wild card against Oakland in 2018. And congrats. I want to give everybody congratulations for winning the one-game wild card against Oakland in 2018. But that's just reality. They win series against the Central. You get your hopes up for 5 seconds. They lose a series to the Astros. That's how it's always operated. That's what the Yankees have done since 2017. Since 2015, if you want to get technical, when the Astros beat them in the one-gamer. So I think picking toughest out between these clubs, I think the Tigers are a tougher out than the Royals slightly. That's not to say that the Royals are a team that, you should just roll over. Their pitching staff is nasty. These games are going to be tight. The Royals have an insane bullpen ERA for the last month or so. They have Lucas Ursay closing, who we said should have been a Yankees deadline target. Spoiler alert, he wasn't. And also, spoiler alert, the Royals did that thing I just said the Orioles should have done, where they were struggling a little bit. And at the deadline, they just went out and got talent. We're getting guys. And all of a sudden, and in the offseason, we'll get Waka, we'll get Lugo, we'll get Renfroe. We're collecting guys. We're getting Adam Frazier. We're showing the guys in the clubhouse a 50-win team last year that we believe in them. And it worked. Huge year-over-year turnaround. They're in the postseason with a rotation that nobody wants to face. Now, the Tigers, I said yesterday, and I don't mean this derogatorily, kind of feel like just a random – it feels like what would happen if we just let a random team into the postseason.
100%.
I'm not unconvinced. I think the Oakland A's could be doing what the Tigers are doing right now. Coming in hot in the second half. Like, you just put a team in a playoff series with a hot starter, they could just knife through it. The Tigers just have Tarek Skubal, and he's incredible, and the lineup believes in themselves. The Royals are a pitching and defense team. They've got stars on offense in Witt and Perez, and Vinny Pasquantino's back. They haven't hit in quite a while. So to say, I also don't understand what these comments are. Can't act like we've lost already. We haven't even played a postseason game. We're doing the exact opposite of that, are we not? We're saying that it's a tough matchup, and let's see what happens. I think everyone else is anointing the Yankees, and we're just saying not to walk past the Royals. No one is thinking we lost. We should win the series, but if we do, I wouldn't be shocked. I think everybody should be primed to know that the Royals are going to keep these games really close, and at least one of the first two is going to be on bullpen tenterhooks for sure. We lacked the Orioles losing 2-1 and 1-0. That one of those is going to be 1-1.
Yep.
Pretty late. Maybe it's game one. Maybe Rodón shows up. It's game two. I don't know. It's going to be a 2-2 game headed to the eighth. That's what you should get used to watching. That's playoff baseball. That's what we're going to get.
Yeah. Stats. How about that? So the Waka decision from the Royals, he will be starting game one on Saturday at 7:38 p.m. in case you guys were wondering the exact time. Right? It's 7:38, not 6:38. 6:38 is Monday.
Oh, no. It's the opposite.
I messed it up.
Don't
6:38 Saturday.
Yeah.
Sorry. 6:38 Saturday, 7:38 Monday. That's how we do.
38. You're 38s. Everybody knows that's the time that the ball game starts. Everyone's
of course.
Aware. Yeah.
I mean, when else would you show up?
Yeah.
Waka, a 3.78 ERA on the road with a 1.23 whip, a 2.89 ERA with a 1.16 whip at home. So interesting choice, but like we said, Aaron Judge's kryptonite, pitches well against the Yankees. We all know it. The weird thing is that you'd have Seth Lugo on the regular rest, and he is far superior on the road. 2.62 ERA, 1.03 whip versus 3.36 ERA, 1.14 whip. So interesting. I don't think it's make or break. 3.36 ERA at home is still really good.
Yeah, I would have started him in game two, though, especially after what he just did at Yankee Stadium. He put them to sleep. He had like a vintage Felix. He had a vintage Felix Hernandez starting against the Yankees this year. They just had no chance.
Yeah, it was 7 innings, 12 strikeouts, no walks, or something crazy. No extra base hits.
34 pitches. I mean, yeah.
In terms of the offense, so this is where the true discussion comes in terms of the field being wide open. Royals, 14th in the league in OPS, 709. Guardians, 17th, 702. Tigers, 23rd, 685. Yankees, 3rd, 762. If you want to go to home runs, Yankees lead the way Guardians are 12th, which is the next best. Royals are 20th. Tigers are 24th. Home runs don't matter for everything, but when you have a lineup of home run hitters, that's where you got to capitalize. This is where the team needs to, again, dig deep, pick the right pitches, get the hits in the right situations. So these are baseline stats. I know it sounds silly, but this is where the matchup gulf exists. The Yankees are a much better team on, I think, both sides of the ball. Guardians bullpen notwithstanding, and Tiger surge at the end of the season there was incredible. Tigers and Guardians actually tied for the third best ERA in baseball with 3.61. Yankees are 7th with 3.74. Royals are right there with 3.76. So you sit here and you say, okay, pitching staffs are pretty much all equal.
Mm-hmm.
Yankees have the edge in terms of ace power with Garrett Cole, and I would still argue Carlos Rodón. I think Carlos Rodón at his best is better than every starter remaining with the exception of Tarek Skubal. I don't think that's crazy. In terms of legwork, like long-term history, Seth Lugo, good pitcher. Cole Reagan's good pitcher. Michael Wacha, solid pitcher, but Carlos Rodón has the name recognition. He has more-ish big game experience, especially over the last few years. So if you're looking at weighing the factors, it's the Yankees essentially have an equal pitching staff with the intangible advantages with name recognition, and then they have a far superior offense, and they have better players. So not going to overlook these teams, but yeah, the Yankees will certainly have no excuse in this series. Again, Yankees-Royals, pretty cool. A lot of playoff history here.
Mm-hmm.
Not going to write them off, but also should be a swift situation where you take care of business. That's it.
I think Vinny Pasquantino, too, like the comment saying he could be a difference maker. He could be, but he's also got metal in his hand, and he's like if Anthony Rizzo was playing in the DS, right? Like he might just not be able.
A month ago. It's a month.
Might not be able to catch up to the Garrett Cole. Like I don't know. We'll have to find out. For me, he's still a wild card. It's obviously good for the Royals that he's back. But yeah, the lineup is not exactly deep. If you have concerns about the depth of the Yankees lineup, like you should have concerns about the depth of the Royals lineup. You just hold the Yankees to a higher standard. So you're like, it's Judge and it's Soto and it's Stanton and it's Jazz. And then who is it? You look at the Royals, you're like Bobby Witt Jr., Sal Perez. Oof, that's enough. 2 guys, that's enough.
And who is it?
Well, I mean, again, we'll just see. It's a thin offense. The Yankees also have an incomplete offense. The Padres are probably the most complete team in baseball right now.
Easily.
So let's give them credit. I mean, the Los Angeles Dodgers are in nasty mode, terrified of what's about to hit them in out west, and it's allowed some relitigation of the Juan Soto trade. Michael King did something that most pitchers don't do in the playoffs. He did what we call pulling a Seth Lugo against the Yankees in Game 1. 7 innings, 12 Ks against a tired Braves team. Very tired Braves team, and he overwhelmed them. Michael King is really good. He's under team control for this year and next. He's a great pitcher. Kyle Higashioka had 2 home runs in the last series. He does that. That's awesome. Drew Thorpe was acquired in the Juan Soto trade, used to acquire Dylan Cease. It's a great job by AJ Preller, who might be the executive of the year. But relitigating the Juan Soto trade, like the Yankees aren't happy they have Juan Soto. Like, would you rather have Michael King and Higgy than Juan Soto? No, I would not rather have that. It's not like the Yankees lack for starting pitching. I think it's just, how often do we talk about nothing for nothing trades? Brian Cashman going, I'll give you these distressed assets or these people I'm talking up, and then you get them and they turn out to be crap. And you'll give me a former star, but actually it's Frankie Montas and he doesn't have a shoulder. And, oh, here's Hayden Wesneski. You give me Scott Efros. Like all these joke trades that seem like, interesting. They increase their championship probability by 0.3%. And then at the end of the day, nobody gets much of anything. This is a trade.
That's how trades are supposed to work.
This is how trades are supposed to work. We get Juan freaking Soto. He's going to finish top 5 in MVP. He changed everything. And you get Michael King. He stabilized your rotation. And you get a backup catcher turned starting catcher. And you get another prospect you can flip. That is a baseball trade. It works for everybody. And keep in mind that King is a free agent after 2025. So that's short-term gain for both sides. And we'll see if either one can lock up their stars.
Yeah, and I think the Padres got a tad bit lucky because the turnaround that they've had this year getting rid of Soto. I don't know if there was a locker room problem there. It seems like some players are hinting at that. Who knows? Either way, they had a lot of other selfish guys on this team. When you think about Josh Hader, I don't know the situation with Blake Snell, but that was a weird relationship because early on in his tenure, like stuff came out from the front office that said the front office was really ticked off by the trade because he hasn't delivered on his end of the bargain. Then he delivers obviously in the final year of his contract. Then he's a free agent. Then they're not paying for him. So I don't know. Either way, Padres did what they needed to do. They utilized the assets as best they could. Michael King starting game 1 is wild. I think it's a good managerial move, though, because the Padres had the rotation depth. They felt like that was the best matchup for them, and it ended up working. They sweep the wild card series. They beat the Braves. They're moving on. But, yeah, what are we relitigating here? That two really good teams that are in the division round made a mutually beneficial trade to help exactly what both were lacking. The Padres had a lot of star offensive players and even prospects coming up, the way more promising prospects coming up the pipeline than the Yankees did. So the Yankees were like dead to rights in the fact that it was like, all right, who are we going to promote now? Padres like, all right, we have a bunch of options. So at least we have that. Maybe one of them hits. Hey, guess what? One of them hit. Jackson Merrill, Rookie of the Year. And then they essentially replace his production there. Fernando Tatis has a bit of a resurgent season. Manny Machado back after those elbow troubles. Luis Ariz, great acquisition, needed a contact hitter, got him. So, yeah, and then the Yankees get Juan Soto. They needed somebody to stabilize the middle of the lineup who was kind of an Iron Man. The Yankees have lacked in that department a lot. Injuries killing them year over year. Giancarlo Stanton's absence from the lineup completely changing the complexion of it. Mm-hmm. You can't have that. You cannot have one guy leave the lineup and the entire team fall apart. And that's been the story with the Yankees for the last 7 years. Actually, no, I take that back. Since 2020, 2018 and 2019 were incredible. They were able to just insert player name here and they would automatically produce. Since 2020, absolutely not. One guy goes down, the entire operation falls apart. And Giancarlo Stanton's been a massive aspect of that. He was acquired to stabilize the middle and of the lineup and, instill fear in starting pitchers. And I think that still is the case. You see the way he finished out the year. You see like his larger than life presence in the batter's box when every pitch matters in the playoffs. So I think it's going to be even more beneficial when you have Juan Soto, Aaron Judge, and him, and overperforming Austin Wells, even though he finished the season on a low note, and Jazz Chisholm. So this lineup has gotten deeper, and Juan Soto's been a massive part of it. Juan Soto, I think, obviously, without question, helped Aaron Judge put up another historic offensive season. No, he didn't break the home run record again, but it's a top 10 all-time offensive season. Slugging percentage in excess of 700 since 2004. There were some other marks. It was like first time since Babe Ruth, first time since Mickey Mantle, first time since Ted Williams. So list goes on and on. It maximized Aaron Judge's production. It gave the Yankees another lefty, power hitting and contact and on base threat early on in the lineup. The Yankees just needed to figure out their leadoff situation, which they ostensibly have with Gleyber Torres. And I think they have figured out how to lengthen the lineup by using Jazz a little bit later. And hopefully if Volpe can come around and produce the way that he has in his hot streak moments, obviously not for the entire run of the postseason, but just need flashes of that here and there. And it's a completely different team. So yeah, mutually beneficial trade. It was beautiful, but you look at the Trey Sweeney trade and that's where you get a little bit pissed off. Trey Sweeney's in these playoffs. He's starting for the Tigers. He got a huge hit in game 1 that eventually ended up being the game-winning hit, I guess you could say, right? They won 3-1 and he was the second RBI of the game. So yeah, the Yankees misutilize that asset. If you want to talk about assets, if there's one thing we can say the Padres are better at, it is trading assets at the right time or trading the right assets for the right return. Yankees typically don't do that. I think in this Padres trade with Juan Soto, they did. In this Dodgers trade with Trey Sweeney, they did not. The Dodgers got 2 things out of Trey Sweeney, and the Yankees got 0. So you have a guy who could have been filling the middle infield void, whether it was this year if you wanted to shake things up when Gleyber was performing terribly before August, or next year when you don't really have a second base option unless you're going to move things around again and put Jazz at second. But yeah, really bad look for the Yankees. I'm not losing sleep over it, but I just wish some of these things were executed a little bit better.
Yeah, look, playoffs, magnifying glass, all that stuff. Trey Sweeney has 1 hit so far in the playoffs. Trey Sweeney hit 218 with a 642 OPS and a 269 on base in the regular season.
Unspectacular.
Trey Sweeney did not kickstart the Tigers' run, but Trey Sweeney's in the postseason starting for a playoff team, a team the Yankees might encounter. The Yankees had an infield logjam this offseason. They decided, he could use, we could part with Trey Sweeney, actually. We don't need him. We got Volpe. We got Lombard Jr. We got Arias. We got Durbin. We got Peraza. Sweeney's the one who's still got value, but we don't really like him, or we can get rid of him. It's fine. They trade him to the Los Angeles Dodgers. They get Victor Gonzalez back, DFA'd in like May. Pointless. This team hasn't had lefties all year, and they didn't want him, and they didn't want him for good reason. They get Yorbid Vivas back, who we thought could be a factor this year and moving forward. He got called up this year. Remember that? He played so little that he didn't even make the year-end Sporkle quiz because he got 0 game reps. Kevin Smith made the Sporkle quiz because he appeared as a
Jay and Silent Bob guy?
He appeared, Jay and Silent Bob guy made the Sporkle because he appeared in 2 games as a DH who didn't bat. He came in late as some sort of lineup place filler. And Vivas didn't even do that. So maybe Vivas will give us something next year moving forward if Gleyber Torres does depart. But this year, absolutely nothing. Trey Sweeney goes to the Dodgers, and he continues to be okay. He produces fine. And the Dodgers trade him for Jack Flaherty. We no longer have him. The Dodgers do have him. They're able to put a package together. Jack Flaherty is going to start game 1 of the DS for the Dodgers. Trey Sweeney is starting baseball games for the Tigers and playing a very competent shortstop. Now, I'll take Volpe and Gleyber.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Volpe, even if he doesn't hit, has speed. Sweeney doesn't. He's a Gold Glove winning shortstop. He looks more like a Gold Glove winning shortstop this year than he did last year. Gleyber Torres has changed this lineup entirely as a leadoff hitter. The Yankees have the upper hand. But, fumbled the bag there. He's a major leaguer already. He's on the exciting up-and-coming American League team that everybody wants to watch. And we got nothing for him when we could have gotten, I guess, a game 1 playoff starter for him.
Yeah.
Now, all that being said, I think that the Los Angeles Dodgers, I would be surprised if they advance past the upcoming division series. Surprised.
I would be surprised.
Not stunned. Shohei Ohtani is quite talented. So
I'd be like, oh, wow. They overcame a lot to do that. That's
I
cool.
would actually be, I guess, impressed.
What did you do? Oh, wow.
I would go, oh, wow. That's what I would do. I would go, oh, wow. I would be impressed. I would be impressed if the Dodgers won this division series because I think you want to talk about out-talenting the opposition. I think the Padres out-talent the Dodgers. They certainly they believe in themselves. They're hungrier. Right now, Freddie Freeman's ankle swelled to the size of, quote, a grapefruit at the end of the regular season. That's one of their guys. Ohtani and Betts and grapefruit ankle and Max Muncy. And there's the pitching staff. Yamamoto, how many innings can he give you? 4, 5? I mean, what is he? Do we regret that? Would you want Yamamoto on the Yankees right now, occupying a playoff start? Or would you rather have Luis Gil and Clark Schmidt? It's all very strange. It's tough to even know what to get angry at. That's why we're here. We're here to help. But I don't know. I like the Yankees pitching plan. I like Cole, Rodón. I like thinking you're going with Gil in game 3 probably because Schmidt's going to be your bulk guy and he might be needed. I'd rather use Schmidt in relief than Gil in relief. Because if it's 3-0 in third, second and third, 1 out, I'm bringing in Clark Schmidt for Rodón instead of Gil.
Yeah.
And then I'm hoping, hey, maybe let's say Gil goes 4 innings. And Schmidt can give me 3 innings after that. I like it. I don't have a problem with it. But Yamamoto, if he's one of those guys that maybe he's a routine-oriented guy too. So you get to the playoffs, you can't mess with him. You can't say you're coming out of the bullpen. You just have to start game 2, but maybe you only can give me 4 innings. I don't know. I don't like it. It's like everything the Tigers do is organized, purposeful chaos. Everything the Dodgers are about to do is we have nothing else chaos.
Yeah. It's chaos because it is.
Yeah. So I'll take the Yankees and I'll take the Padres over the Dodgers right now. I like what the Yankees have decided to do. I like how they've decided to structure things. Tim Mayza hinted at as going to be a bullpen guy because Matt Blake said he's a guy who could be used in high leverage when describing the high leverage arms in the bullpen. I get it.
I'm not against it.
I'm not against it. I was going to be against it. I'm no longer against it. I'll take him over Leiter. I'll take him over Stroman. Stroman's offended that he's not on this roster, which he won't be. I mean, Kenta Maeda and Kaider Montero are not on the Tigers roster. They won't be on the Tigers roster for the DS either. Justin Verlander didn't make the Astros roster. Like, it happens. Stroman's best start of the year might have been the Little League Classic against these Tigers. The game that turned around the Tiger season. If I want Stroman, I want him on the road. But I think I'm going to wait, and hopefully if they get to the ALCS, I'll activate Marcus Stroman. Maybe he can face the Tigers again. But for the DS, I don't think so, and I get it. Clay Holmes, by the way. Clay Holmes' blown save. We thought it might change the Yankees' fate, and it still might, because without the Texas blown save, they might not have reevaluated things. But it certainly changed all of baseball because it woke up the Tigers. Why did you do that? As Ron Burgundy once said, except with Bears. The Detroit Tigers had a team meeting right around the time of the Little League Classic to try to decide what they wanted to be for the rest of the year. And maybe they saw their vision realized against Clay Holmes that night with 2 outs in the 9th. And now the Tigers are here and they're a contender in the American League. So no evil teams left in the American League side of the bracket. Yankees, Tigers, Guardians, Royals. The haters won't agree, but we're going to have a fun World Series representative either way. And I don't know. I hope it's the Yankees.
Hope it's the Yankees. Jay Cousins supposedly coming back, so that changes things a little bit for the bullpen. I don't know if I like it entirely. Look, I just don't like the situation. Guy went on the IL a week and a half ago, hasn't been able to pitch, now thrusted into postseason action, was also kind of shouldn't be an integral bullpen arm, you know? Like, I like him. I think he's good, but kind of emerged late in the year. Doesn't have a long career track record of performing, which is always concerning in the postseason. Then again, Thomas, you cannot get the best players at every aspect up and down the roster. So
we say that to the viewers.
We say it all the time. So, but yeah, when talking pitching, it's tough because pitching is the most important. So, I hope their plan is sound. That's all. My dream was to have Nestor follow Rodón in game 2, regardless of what happens. So Rodón goes 6 shutout. Nestor comes in for the last 3. Rodón gets rocked in the first 2 2/3 innings. Nestor comes in to eat 3-4. So I thought that was a really good solution in terms of preserving the bullpen, giving Nestor an outing at home, throwing two different types of lefties at a lineup that is not great at hitting. Not great. Good, not great. 2 pitchers that could have easily neutralized them. That will not be a reality. So, like we said, going to need Garrett Cole and Carlos Rodón to really step up. 1, maybe 2 postseason ALDS roster decisions are going to have us raise an eyebrow in probably a good way. I doubt a bad way. I doubt, but I could be wrong. Either way, yeah. Either way, this is it. Yankees Royals starts on Saturday evening. Just got to do it, man. You just got to do it.
And we'll see you right back here on Monday after just one game. I mean, how long are the playoffs? What the fuck is going on? We will see you on Monday after just one game. I think I'm going to be at game 2. I'll see you there on Monday if you're there. Yankees Royals. I'm going to go Yankees in 4. And I think it involves my prediction involves a good degree of consternation because I think they lose one of the first 2 home games. And then I think they beat up Seth Lugo a surprising amount on the road and close out a shell-shocked Royals team in game 4. Do you have a prediction here?
No, I actually don't. But now I do. I just thought of it, and it's going to be Yankees in 5.
SNY just had Yankees in 5. Just saw that too. That's interesting.
It's never easy. It's never easy, and it's not as easy as you ever picture it.
No.
So it's Yankees in 5.
I've got a tough Yankees in 4. Like one of those, like the Guardians DS a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Where it's like,
well, that's what I'm comparing it to in my head.
Yeah. But it's like the same situation where they blow that save. Clark Schmidt blows that save, and you're like, okay, wow, they did a new thing that I hate. And then Garrett Cole came out and shoved, and they won Game 5 at home. Like, I kind of feel like there's going to be a kick in the pants, not like a blown save necessarily, but just like a bad game. Like either Waka or
They could lose Game 1. There is absolutely not another question.
I think either Waka or Reagans is just going to shut them down, and there's going to be a moment of like, oh God, oh dear Lord. And then I think they have a surprisingly solid offensive performance against Lugo on the road. And I think the Royals were counting on that. And then Game 4 gets a little bit easier. But we will see. It's going to play itself out. And again, we'll know the results of exactly one game the next time you see us. Very cool. As my wedding photographer once said when I showed her we were opening baseball cards. Very cool. Not an ego blow at all. In fact,
what is this? You
truly a subtext of what the fuck are you doing? Are you adults? Yeah, very cool. That was actually my planner. Sorry, she didn't get it. Anyway, see you back here on Monday, 2:00 Eastern. Go Yankees! Defeat the Kansas City Royals. You can find me on Twitter at Adam Weinrib. Thomas Carannante. Where can the people find you?
At Tommy's_takes. You can find the both of us at the official Yanks Go Yard Twitter account at Yanks Go Yard FS. We love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. A lot of you in here today. A lot of comments. We appreciate it. Please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Broadcasting live from there right now. Pretty easy stuff. Head on over to yanksgoyard.com. That's where all the written content is. That's where we will be updating you as often as we possibly can when we're not on the air. And we're only on the air twice a week. But appreciate you guys reading. Appreciate you guys listening. Enjoy the weekend, man. Kick up. Get ready for some Yankees playoff baseball. It's only one game, but we got Mets tonight deciding Game 3 in Milwaukee. Should be a fun one. And then the DS kicks off in full. We got an off day on Friday. You get to chill on Friday.
Nothing Friday.
Whatever you want. Yeah, you have some fun on Friday. Gear up for Saturday. Then you got some NLDS on Sunday, and then it's back to Yankees baseball on Monday. We'll be talking to you at 2 p.m. Eastern live on that day, and we'll see you then.
Goodbye, everybody. Go Yankees.